Beneath Georgia's seemingly innocent facade lies a completely different world that no one talks about. This country, which glows with lights at night, has a completely different face in the dark. Today, we open the door to that world. 1. The secret of Tbilisi's underground forbidden tunnels. Beneath Tbilisi lies a world that makes you completely forget the crowds above. Opened during the Soviet era, these tunnels remained behind closed doors for years. Passages stretching from the city center to the foothills of the mountains sometimes narrow abruptly with a sharp turn, sometimes open up like a huge hall. Teams entering the tunnels found rusted doors, old cables fixed to the walls, and abandoned shelters. Air currents create strange echoes inside the tunnels. It sounds as if a door is closing somewhere or someone is walking quickly. City legends tell of objects lost in these tunnels and metallic sounds heard at night. The destination of some passages is still unknown. Rooms not marked on maps, corridors whose purpose remains unexplained, and old documents untouched by anyone add a distinct mystery to this underground labyrinth. As lively as Tbilisi is above ground, it is equally enigmatic below. This silent world is one of the darkest realities waiting to be discovered. 2. The unseen side of Georgia's nightlife. At first glance, Georgia's nights seem very lively. Colorful streets, loud music, venues open until dawn. But behind this bright facade lies another world that not everyone knows about. As the night progresses, the streets change. The same street takes on an atmosphere completely different from its daytime self. Some venues have no signs, their doors open from the inside. Some bars have no price list. The cost of each drink is only revealed when the bill arrives. Groups targeting tourists roam certain areas. A few hundred meters away are clubs operating completely off the books. To get in, you either need an acquaintance or to run into the right person at the door. Taxis are one of the biggest risks throughout the night. Tourists, in particular, are charged 3 times the normal fare for trips just 2 streets away. Counterfeit alcohol sales are also common. The bottle looks like the original, the label is flawless, but the source of the alcohol inside is unknown. In some streets, the crowd suddenly disappears. There is no light. Even the security cameras don't work. Georgia's nightlife can be fun, yes. But like a shadow lurking beneath every beautiful scene, there is always an invisible danger here. 3. Georgia's dark internet collapse. The internet in Georgia is not always as simple as it seems. In Tbilisi and Batumi, the connection is fast, smooth, and problem-free. But as soon as you leave the city, the picture changes dramatically. In rural areas, the internet is a luxury. Some villages don't even have cable. In some areas, the connection is so weak that it takes minutes just to open a page. That's why most daily tasks are disrupted. People can't do their banking. Students can't connect to their classes. Workers can't send files. When the internet goes down, most people feel as if time has stopped. The infrastructure is outdated. In mountainous areas, cables break during storms and freeze completely when it snows. When the power goes out, modems go silent for hours. Many technicians can't even reach some areas. There are no roads, the weather is bad, and the signal is completely lost. People hold their phones up high, trying to get a few bars. In some parts of houses, there is a single working corner. This situation is now part of daily life. Young people, in particular, walk outside at night looking for a signal to connect to the internet. Some climb hills, some stand by the roadside. That's what the internet is like in Georgia. 4. The hidden dangers of LGBTQI+ life in Georgia. Being LGBTQI+ in Georgia often turns into a silent struggle. People have to hide their identities depending on the city they live in, the job they work at, or even the neighborhood they live in. During the day, everything seems normal. Walking down the street, it seems like there's no problem. But at night or in closed environments, the invisible pressure makes itself felt more clearly. Many people create social media accounts under fake names. They don't post profile pictures. They delete their messages. Because even a single wrong screenshot can cause problems. Some places seem safe. But you can't trust everyone who enters. There is always the risk of being secretly filmed. It's not easy to tell if someone who puts their phone on the table has turned on the camera. That's why many people hide their phones under the table. Even the topics of conversation are carefully chosen. The situation is even more complicated in the online world. Some groups send messages using fake accounts. Then they threaten and blackmail. Messages that start with "we have your image" cause many people to lose sleep for weeks. Most incidents are not reported. 5. The silent disaster of rent in Tbilisi. Finding a place to live in Tbilisi is now a struggle in itself. The city is bustling all day long, but the real hardship is felt when returning home in the evening. Because most people cannot relax, thinking about the rent they pay. In some neighborhoods, the price of a single room is almost half the monthly salary, sometimes even the entire salary. The apartments are small, the buildings are old, and prices increase slightly every year. Young people have given up on the idea of living alone. Most of them get together with 2, 3, or even 4 people to rent a single apartment. Some even put a bed in the middle of the living room. Because there is no other option. Landlords are well aware of this atmosphere. They tend to favor short-term rentals, especially during tourist seasons. Weekly tourist income easily surpasses that of a monthly local tenant. That's why many families move away from the city center. Neighborhoods slowly change. Streets that used to be quiet and peaceful now become temporary stops filled with the sound of suitcases. 6. The deep fake passport network that shook the country. The fake passport network that emerged in Georgia seems like a movie script at first glance. But what happened is completely real. It all started with a few suspects caught at the airport. While checking their documents, officials noticed that the passports were strangely too perfect. The paper quality was right, the stamps were right, and they were even almost flawless under UV light. It didn't take long to realize that such professional work was no coincidence. As the investigation expanded, the depth of the network became apparent. Subsequent raids uncovered a specially equipped printing facility. This was no ordinary place. Inside were professional printing machines, hundreds of photographs of unidentified individuals, and blank passport covers. The cables were still warm, suggesting the machines had been in use recently. The people involved in this operation were not just amateur smugglers. Among them were former printing press employees, people with experience in forging identities, and intermediaries who distributed the documents. In other words, it was not a single point, but a large structure operating in a chain. 7. The Georgia-based cyber heist that brought Europe to its knees. The fake investment centers set up in Georgia look like ordinary offices from the outside. A few desks, a few computers, and young employees posing as customer representatives. But what goes on inside these rooms is a massive fraud mechanism that wipes out millions of euros. They call people with promises of high returns. Their tone is professional, their presentations are impressive, and everything they say sounds convincing. No one realizes the caller is in Georgia. Because the lines are hidden, the software shows fake locations. The programs used in these centers are a world of their own. Fake panels resembling real stock market screens are prepared. As people invest, the graph rises, profits appear, and confidence grows. But the money is not in the system, it has already been transferred to other accounts. When the victim wants to withdraw their money, the excuses begin. Time is gained with phrases like "the system is being updated," "data is being verified," and "your account is being protected." Then one day, the phone goes completely silent. The screen is turned off. All the invested savings vanish into thin air. 8. Tbilisi's locked lost archive room. The secret archive room discovered in Tbilisi's old interior ministry building added one of the strangest stories the city has heard in years. The room was actually found by accident. A rusty door appeared behind wall panels that were removed for renovation. There were no signs on it. When the door was opened, heavy dusty air came out from inside. It was as if no one had breathed there for years. When the light hit, metal safes lined up along the wall appeared. Each one was old. Each one was locked. There were yellowed files on the shelves. Unreadable codes, notes with erased dates. Inside some envelopes were photographs of unidentified people. Their faces were blank, their gazes empty. Even those not looking at the camera seemed as if they were running from something. In the corner of the room was an old desk. On it sat an unopened logbook. When the dust was wiped away, pencil marks appeared underneath, but the lines were still illegible. It is unknown when, by whom, or for what purpose this archive room was closed. Official statements are also unclear. The room was quickly sealed off, and entry was prohibited. 9. The fake diploma industry, a major deception in education. In Georgia, the fake diploma business is not just a simple scam. In recent years, it has become an almost invisible industry. People see an ad on the internet that says guaranteed real diploma, and a few days later, a document bearing a university logo arrives in their mailbox. The paper quality is good, the seal is embossed, even the signature looks professional. At first glance, no one suspects anything. But the background of this business goes far beyond what meets the eye. The people who prepare these documents are not graphic designers. Most of them are people who have worked in educational institutions in the past and know how the system works. They know by heart which font is used and where the seal is placed. The more dangerous aspect is that these fake documents are used not only within the country, but also abroad. Some people get jobs with these certificates, others request exam exemptions. Employers generally don't realize the document is fake because the design is almost identical. So why do people turn to this? Because as competition increases, educational certificates are seen as a gateway. The idea that if you have a diploma, the way opens up is fueling the growth of this dark market. 10. Hidden labor markets, behind the scenes of illegal immigrant labor. The story of immigrants working illegally in Georgia is generally silent. No one speaks loudly, but everyone has heard something. Small groups are often seen in the outskirts of Tbilisi, near construction sites, or in the back alleys of marketplaces. Most come from Central Asia. Young people who cannot find work in their own countries come here hoping for a better life. But what they encounter is often much harder than they imagined. Their jobs are unregistered, their wages irregular. Some go months without pay. People live dependent on employers who say, "I'll pay you tomorrow." The most painful part is that some workers are forced to hand over their passports to their employers. What starts as to keep it safe, soon turns into a complete control mechanism. Without a passport, they cannot change cities or leave their jobs. Sometimes 5 or 6 people live in one room. Working hours are long, rest periods are short. There is no health insurance, safety measures are weak. If there is an accident, responsibility is left in limbo. 11. Lost heritage, Georgia's black market cultural trade. In Georgia's mountain villages, there are centuries-old artifacts hidden in the attics of old houses, in the corners of forgotten storage rooms, or under abandoned churches. But some of these artifacts are no longer in their places. The black market trade in cultural artifacts that has emerged in recent years is like a silent wound in the country's history. This business does not involve random theft. Teams come to the villages at night. They know where everything is. Which house has an old chest, which uncle has a gold necklace, which abandoned building has a stone tablet buried underneath. These things are researched beforehand. Most pieces are stolen without anyone noticing, because they are usually mementos that an elderly person has kept for years. A bronze figure, an old icon, a handwritten prayer book. But these artifacts suddenly gain value on the black market. The discovery of Georgian artifacts in some raids in Europe revealed the extent of the problem. Some of these artifacts were thousands of years old. Others were small pieces of cultural heritage that were not even known to be missing.